Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we are back with our selections for Saturday. An interesting thought I had in the last week or so, that I don't think anyone should moan at anybody for their selections. You know, even if they're disappointing. And the reason for that is you are in charge of placing your own bets. If you follow a tipster, you either do one of two things. You completely trust their ability, but that's on you to whether you're believing that, or trusting that ability. That's your decision. Or you've listened to their analysis and you've agreed with it, and therefore you've then gone and backed that horse as well. If it then loses, you were in charge of placing that bet yourself. You were in charge of agreeing with the analysis or believing that person who gave that advice, and had full faith in them. That's on you, really. So yeah, just saying that, obviously we've had a couple of bad days. We did get a few people that jumped on and were like, oh, these are rubbish, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, we had a really good day, I think it was the Thursday at Aintree, and that covered pretty much all of the losses since then. And we had a great Cheltenham, we had plenty of winners over the season, and yet you have a couple of bad days and you get people jumping on with negative comments. And to be honest, they're not helpful. How does that help me with my selections by just telling me that, oh, that was a rubbish selection, or that was a rubbish tip, or that was, poor couple of days, not good enough? How does that help? It doesn't really. Anyway, mini rant over. Let's have a look at the races that I like on Saturday, tomorrow. Starting off looking at this 2-mile series final handicap hurdle at Haydock. And I think the one to beat here is unfortunately the favourite. I say unfortunately, it depends on what sort of price you think it should be. Let's just load up the market for this race. This one here, where I do believe that Gimme 5 is going to take all of the beating here. Yes, the money's going to come for some of the Skelton runners over the next few days, particularly as obviously he's trying to win that champion trainer up against Willie Mullins. But I feel that Gimme 5 has always suggested that he was a nice horse. Even as a juvenile, in his 4-year-old career campaign, he was running some good races. His second to the likes of Caliph de Burle, that looks pretty good form. His fourth at Fairyhouse in a grade 2, behind Bottler's Secret, Miss Manzor and Carl de Terrell, good form. Back in 6th that day was Nadawi, who's since finished 2nd at the Cheltenham Festival. There was plenty of positives about his juvenile campaign over hurdles. Started off this season in good form, finishing 2nd in a handicap on the flat, then winning at Cheltenham in a Masterson's Holdings hurdle, before then stepping up in class. And he's really stepped up in class. He went for a grade 3 at Fairyhouse, where he was comfortably put in his place. Then went for a feature handicap, the Sovereign handicap at Windsor. Yes, he was well beaten there, before then dropping back down to the sort of class that he could win races off. He ran in a qualifier and finished 3rd, and I just feel that qualifier they were checking out to see whether he was good enough to be aimed at that series final that he's running in tomorrow. And I feel that they demonstrated that he was. They then got him a fitness run a couple of weeks later on the flat, before going and winning a qualifier at Newcastle. Yes, granted, he was beating an old-timer in Pay the Piper. The 10-year-old Pay the Piper had dropped down to a reasonable mark. He beat him comfortably, only went up £4 for that. And I just feel that if he's going to kick on, they might as well do it here, in terms of go and win this qualifier, go and win this final, He's only a 5-year-old. There's plenty of, not deadwood in this race, but old timers. Luttrell Lad is a 9-year-old. Well Educated is 9. Oslo is 8. I don't feel any of those have a huge amount of potential. Bluegrass is certainly in form, but this is probably about his level, whereas Gimme 5 could be the one that goes on to bigger and better things next season. They might go, okay, it didn't quite work at the beginning of the season, what we were planning to do. We might as well now win some handicaps with him. And starting with tomorrow, because it's a series final, it's worth 20 grand, and I feel he is the one to beat at 9-4. That's Give Me 5. I always want to say Gimme 5, which is a horse on the flat, but Gimme 5 for Harry Derham and Paul O'Brien. They do tend to have a good record in these types of races, slightly away from the big races the big feature handicaps. They go on these lesser feature handicaps. I know that's a weird thing to say, but they do have a good record in these types of races. Second horse that I'm interested in runs in a 3 o'clock at Musselburgh. Let's just load up the market for this race. And I'm surprised of the price about this horse. I really like Gerbat here, who's available at 4s. Twilight Fun has just come out, which would have been one of the dangers. But Gerbat for the Barons and Callum Rodriguez. Now, the favourite in this race is American Affair. Now, they actually ran against each other a couple of times last year. Once at Thirsk, where American Affair was winning it, Gerbat was finishing third, not beaten that far. Gerbat was giving American Affair that day £8. They then reopposed a couple of weeks later, or a couple of months later, at Haydock in another handicap. This time, Gerbat was getting £1 from American Affair, and he beat him. Now, tomorrow, Gerbat will be getting £2 from American Affair. So he lost when giving 8. He beat him when getting 1. He's getting 2. Why does he not take... why is he not significantly closer in the market to American Affair? I don't think there's anything between them. Gerbat has a course and distance win to his name, just like American Affair. Gerbat was actually a very impressive winner that day, beating Winter Crown, JM Jungle, Belsito. He beat JM Jungle off levels. He actually gets £1 off him tomorrow. So it really shouldn't be beaten by JM Jungle tomorrow. We can also have a form line with Cover Up, who is down here. Now, Cover Up beat Gerbat at the end of last season, giving £5. Tomorrow he has to give him 9. Beat him by a head, so he's £4 better off. Is that right? Did I say that right? 5. He's now 9. Yes. £4 better off for a head. I can't see Gerbat not beating Cover Up tomorrow. Cover Up's actually moved trainer as well. The Godolphin have given up with him. And he's moved from the Gosdens to the Christopherds. I think there's plenty to like, to be honest, about Gerbat here. He can wait out the back, pick up strongly, and hopefully be able to hold on late on in the final few strides. The other thing we've got to look at, does he get going at the beginning of the season? That's obviously something that's very important at the moment. Are they early season horses? Well, Gerbat 2 years ago went 1-2-1-2 for his first few runs, and last season he went 4-3-1. I don't think he needed the run. He needed the runs. He needed the runs. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? I don't think he was needing fitness runs. He just was running against horses that were well handicapped at that point. I don't feel there's anything as well handicapped this year against him, and I think Gerbat's the one to beat here, to be honest. And at 4s, I'm quite happy with that. I thought he would be favourite. Back to Haydock we go for the 3:15, and we are going to pick a horse that I just can't ignore him. Dan Skelton sent out Risk in the Ground to win a couple of weeks ago. Did he win at Ayr, and then he come back out at Cheltenham and won again? So his horses are in good form, and they can come back quickly. And Lamilos, I feel, could be one that maybe they've targeted this race. He was quite highly tried at the beginning of the season. I thought he was he ran a really eye-catching race at Cheltenham at the beginning of the season, and they then dropped him in trip, and I didn't think that the trip drop was suitable for him. After winning a series qualifier, a veteran series qualifier, he went up £4, and then they went to Newbury and Aintree, away from veteran company. They kept him away from other veterans, and they were running him in open company, and he ran okay. He finished 6th and 7th in those 2 races. Only went off 13-2 last time out for an open handicap, and actually dropped £2 for those 2 runs. He's back down to a mark of 141. Now, the way he won at Warwick in that veterans qualifier, 141 would not have stopped him that day. He was very, very impressive. He was very comfortably the best horse that day. Yes, there are potentially better veterans in this year, in this race, but I still think Lamilos is well handicapped. And if he does, if the drop in trip doesn't affect him too badly, and maybe I don't feel he's not been staying those last 2 races. I just feel that maybe they weren't quite the right races for him. If he bounces back here, I think he'll run a really nice race, and he is now being supported. As I said, the Skeltons will get a lot of their horses supported. He's into 10s. I still think that's a fair price, though. He only went off 13-2 last time out for what was probably a better race than this. He's currently available at 10s. They just need to ride him quite positively because he does stay further. Off to Ireland we go, to Fairyhouse for the 320. The Mayor's Handicap Chase, and the horse I like here, we don't currently have any prices for. Let's just see if they've priced up yet. Where is it? Fairyhouse. 320. Really disappointing. It's a decent handicap. We're still waiting for odds to appear. The horse that I will be backing if we can get a price about her, and when I say price, I honestly feel anything above, I think this is a rubbish race, anything above 3-1 I'll be backing Zenta. Zenta has taken a while to get going over fences, but she finally got her act together last time out in a good race at Fairyhouse, beating a couple of other Willie Mullins horses. She actually beat 3 other Willie Mullins horses in Carrier de Blaze, Pagane and Miss Manzor. Having finally got her act together, that was probably a bounce back to form over fences. Now, she was a very good juvenile. She won a juvenile at Fairyhouse, grade 3, then went to Cheltenham and finished 3rd in the Triumph, beaten by Lossiemouth and Gala Marceau. Ran a really nice race that day, involved in their 1, 2, 3, 4 for Willie Mullins, and then went to Aintree and won the grade 1 there, beating Beau Zenith as a 5-4 favourite. They then pitched her straight into graded company over fences. It didn't quite work. She finished 3rd, and then they dropped her back to hurdles, where she ran a really nice race off 138 in a handicap, and then finished 7th in the county hurdle in 2024. This year she's taken a while, this season and last season, she's taken a while to get going over fences. 4th in a beginner's chase, probably disappointing. Then came back and went straight into a grade 2. They didn't go, she was well beaten in a beginner's chase. They didn't stick to beginner's chasing or novice chasing sort of thing. They went, well, let's try her in a grade 2. Pulled up, disappointing. Couple of months off the track, they then stepped her up in trip, went into a beginner's chase, but it was a good beginner's chase, and she was winning that. And maybe that's what she's needed, that step up in trip. She sticks to that 2 mile 5 trip. She comes back to Fairyhouse, where she's 2 from 2. She's only in a handicap. She's rated 140, but she's actually rated 143 over hurdles. I think off this mark, she should be going very close in this race. Anything above 3-1, I'll be very happy with Zenta in this race. It doesn't look the best mare's handicap, to be honest. Off back to Musselburgh for the 335, the feature race of the day, the Queen's Cup. And I looked at 2 horses in this race. One of them I would want to see a little bit more. I'm hoping we don't miss out. That's Laffy. The outside of the field is very nicely handicapped, does have some good form, but hadn't run for 1,373 days before returning at Doncaster for Brian Ellison. Now, the horse steps up in trip, back up to a suitable trip, is well handicapped, but does the horse still have the ability? And he is 9. It's not like he's missed some years as like a 3, 4, 5-year-old and coming back as a 6-year-old. He's coming back as a 9-year-old. So we are going to ignore that one tomorrow. The horse we are going to have a bet on, though, is Chillingham, who is currently available at... Let's have a look. Currently available at 10-1. Now, I think that's a decent price about Chillingham. I think he's pretty consistent on the whole. He was 3rd in a race to Ebor 4 runs ago, back in May 2024. Now, the runner-up that day, Kievar, actually reopposes here. But Kievar then went on to finish second in an E-Ball. Finished second in an E-Ball behind Magical Zoe. Also finished second at Market Raisin in the Summer Handicap Hurdle. Then went and won at Air. Then finished second to Rabot back over hurdles. Third in a fighting fifth behind Sir Gino and Lump Sum. And then probably disappointed a little bit in the Scottish Champion Hurdle. Returns to the flat. Could be interesting on the flat for sure. But I'm just hoping that Chillingham can reverse that form. Chillingham on that day in that race to E-Ball was rated 96. Gets to run here off 94. Kievar is running off 101. So £4 higher. Chillingham's £2 lower. There's a £6 pull for not a lot of distance between them. Since then, Chillingham ran it in the E-Ball. Disappointed. Well, it didn't really disappoint. He finished 11th. Didn't get the clearest of runs that day. Things didn't quite work out for Chillingham. Took quite a keen hold. Then returned to the Autumn Cup for a 1 mile 5 race on heavy going. And finished a really good second to Not So Sleepy. Before then going for the November handicap. Now, that was probably it was like a Class 1 feature handicap. This is a second-rate feature handicap for me. Doesn't feature the top-class trainers. Doesn't feature the top-class horses. He's pretty consistent, this horse, and does have some decent form over this trip as well. His fourth to Vauban at Ascot looks a really good bit of form. His second to Prydwen at Wolverhampton looks a good bit of form. The triple suit, the ground is not an issue. As I said, he finished third on good behind Crystal Delight and Kievar. He does look quite nicely handicapped. He's got the tongue tie and cheek pieces on his return. And if they can just help him finish his races off a bit, I think he's the most solid in the race. I think he's going to run his race. Whereas some of the others, I have question marks about the trip or the going or this time of year. I think Chillingham's going to run a nice race here. And if he can settle, then Callum Rodriguez could certainly see, should give him a good ride here. And I'm quite keen on Chillingham here. One more to go. I will talk about one more race as well. And the final selection is going to be in the 355 at Fairyhouse in a race that it's one of these horses that we can't ignore. Maxine O'Sullivan rides Read to Return. This is all about... we will get a bit of a price because the form doesn't look amazing. The horse is ready to win a handicap as soon as they want it to win a handicap. The last time it actually ran over fences, it went off the 7-2 favourite for a handicap under Connor Stone-Walsh. Dropped out the back, just kept dropping away and never got involved. I wonder whether this has been the long-term plan for this horse. He is very nicely handicapped. He is good enough to win a race like this. It's all about whether they're actually trying. And the booking of Maxine O'Sullivan suggests to me they are. I think this horse is going to go really well. The fact that it's only 9 days after unseating, and the fact that it was well beaten last time out over fences when 7-2, I think we will get a nice price. I'm looking at anything above 5s. I don't think this is a strong race at all. Anything above 5s, and I hope Read to Return can run a really big race here. The final race that I want to talk about is the Rybo Handicap Hurdle. I looked at Jazzy Matty. I'm not going for Jazzy Matty. He didn't run well in this race a couple of years ago. I was hoping that he was going to end up at Punchestown, not this race. I've looked at Helvet Dream. Didn't run well in this race either. Gold Dancer's interesting. Serianemond could now be the one that kicks on from winning last time out. Calix de la Barrière. Calix de la Barrière could just be one of these Willie Mullins horses that is exceptionally well handicapped. So I am leaving this race alone, although I suggested Jazzy Matty back over hurdles, not for this race. So a quick recap of my selections for tomorrow. Gimme 5 to kick on, having won last time out in a qualifier. Doesn't look the strongest of races. Gerbat has weight with Weight pulls with Cover Up, An American Affair, and JM Jungle. I don't see any reason why Jobat doesn't take all of the beating in the Scottish Sprint Cup. At Haydock, Lamilos dropped back in trip. Maybe this was been the plan. The Veterans Final, they won a Veterans Qualifier very easily. Zenta can kick on now. She's 6. She was a very good 4-year-old. Hasn't quite worked over fences just yet, but maybe this step up in trip, the 2 mile 5, was what she needed, and she won a good beginner's chase last time out. Chillingham will be... I expect this horse to run a really solid race. Hopefully that solid is good enough to win it. And finally, Read to Return with Maxine O'Sullivan on board. I'm hoping that that is a sign that they are trying. This horse has not tried on many occasions.